students, in today's lesson in phase one, the main teaching point of this particular chapter is to take a good look at the two steps of effective change implementation. Both are focused on people. People alignment involves two distinct and sequential steps. First, in step two, the organization seeks to help develop in all employees the necessary skills and competencies. Then, in step three, the company engages in people change in order to meet its strategic requirements. Step two involves training and developing current employees. And step three, this involves attracting new employees and potentially removing and replacing existing ones. Now, both steps deal with people alignment, but they are treated as separate steps. Step two, help. This is what that's about. It involves informal changes and processes. And step three, people change. This deals with formal human resource systems. So there are essentially 5 learning objectives to this particular chapter. On Monday, today, we're going to talk about defining people alignment and its role in implementing strategic renewal and organizational change. Tomorrow, I should say on Wednesday, we're going to try to understand how to match selection and recruitment with the shifting requirements of behavioral change. And we're going to analyze how an organization can help employees gain the new skills required of the change effort. So objective 2 and 3 we'll be doing on Wednesday. We're just going to be doing objective 1 today about aligning people. On Friday, we're going to cover the particular choices available to organizations as they seek to align employment competencies with the requirements of the organization as part of the change effort. And then finally, on Friday, we're going to analyze the role of removal and replacement in implementing change. So, besides objective number 1 today, in defining people alignment and its role in implementing strategic renewal and organizational change, I want to ask you to read the case, and if you haven't already, on expanding the market for Best Buy. And you will find that some of the key learning points of the case is to illustrate the need to engage in people alignment as part of successful change initiatives. Now, Julie Gilbert left a senior vice president for Best Buy, saw that there was an increased need to address not just the male, but the female population on based on her research regarding how many women were buying electronics and electronic related items. And before she actually came on board and talked about this with statistical backup, she was looking at situations that were just crazy because all of these objectives of the store were to just look at the male population as the techie population. Not necessarily so. As times changed and we had the innovation of the smartphone and all of the things and the accessories that went along with it, the inception of the flat screen TV. Gosh, the other day I just saw a commercial, I remember, for Best Buy with a 50-inch TV for like under $300. Crazy stuff, right? But she realized that the $140 billion electronics industry wasn't just catered to men. The $90 billion overall of annual sales in a particular demographic accounted for 57% of women buyers. So it's really interesting how that 57% influenced that $140 billion market on sales. And when you think about it, 57%, that's like 90 billion. So think about that for a bit. So once you read the case study, try to assess what Julie Gilbert attempted to change at Best Buy and why. Answer those questions. What did she attempt to change and why? Again, two things to focus on: people and alignment, right? For change. What did she have to change to make this work? Because the preconceived notion prior to her getting involved, prior to Julie getting involved, was that electronics were unappealing, even hostile to women. And they totally lost a big part of their market share as a result of that. Thinking about something different than what actually was. You know, they talk about two things about gaps in organizations. And the gaps lie in the difference where we want to be. That's like we do our strategic plan, our mission, vision, do it all out, right? And you look at it and you say, you know, what is the difference between where we are and where we want to be? How big is the gap? Julie saw a really big gap here. So another question you might want to answer: what were some of the changes Best Buy made to attract more women? And the third, what was Gilbert's strategy and plan for implementing people alignment changes? And let's go through the different steps that she used: emotionally, physically, and mentally. What was the psyche behind those changes? What she actually wanted to do? And then try to describe Gilbert's approach to recruiting more women. What did she do to work in the store? What did you need to wear? All right, I'm not going to give you any more clues. And then finally, what was Gilbert's approach to changing the role of women in the entire organization? All right, here it goes. Not just because of the blue shirts. And you know, to this day, right, the techies still wear the black shirts and the salespeople still wear the blue shirts. How did that legacy continue? Although we know that based on the case study that we've read, that Gilbert left Best Buy in 2009, but her legacy continued in the store. And then she went on to other things. One of them's called Wolf, WOLF. So think about that, go through the case study, and try to answer those questions. That is phase one of today's lecture series.